Our guy thought he had hit the easiest jackpot of his life. For a massive 2 million reward, he agreed to act as Liu Shu's fake boyfriend and accompany her home for the holidays. But before he even stepped through the front door, he stumbled across a viral post roasting him online. The funniest part? The author was Liu Shu's younger sister, Liu Ruyan. She mocked his cheap outfit and openly campaigned for their breakup. However, every complaint somehow spent more time praising his looks. Classic Tsundere behavior, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier, our guy had already pulled a sneaky counterattack. Pretending to be drunk, he mistook Ruyan for her sister and casually admitted that her beauty almost made his heart skip a beat. That retreat to advance move landed a critical hit. Ruyan instantly lost her composure, and later that night, she secretly went online to ask strangers how to steal her brother-in-law away. Yeah, things escalated fast. At first, our hero had no clue that the mysterious poster was sitting right across from him. The cold and arrogant second daughter of the Liu family looked completely innocent. Meanwhile, he happily watched the comments section tear the poster apart. Ruyan desperately insisted she wasn't jealous and definitely wasn't interested in her sister's boyfriend. She even argued that he was 3 years older, making him more like a big brother. Then she wrapped it all up by claiming the couple simply didn't match. Our guy couldn't resist joining the battlefield. Using a burner account, he challenged her logic, but after waiting a while, he got up to grab some water. The moment he looked up, he caught Ruyan staring at him. That gaze was suspiciously intense, like she was hiding a dangerous secret. Our guy sensed something was off. When he asked what was wrong, Ruyan immediately looked away. She played it cool, pretending nothing had happened. Liu Shu had already warned him about this younger sister, cold, difficult, and impossible to understand. So he dropped it. But moments later, a notification popped up. The anonymous poster had finally replied. This time, she complained about his bargain bin suit. Of course, she still praised his appearance first. Meanwhile, her sister wore luxury designer clothes, which supposedly proved they weren't compatible. The comments instantly exploded. People couldn't believe that was her best argument. Even professional haters would do better. Others pointed out that handsome men make any suit look expensive. Fair point. Then the real roasting began. Everyone noticed. She described the brother-in-law in loving detail, while reducing her sister to little more than a designer outfit. The internet jury had reached a verdict. She was not beating the allegations. Not even close. The Tsundere accusations intensified. And honestly, they had evidence. At that point, our guy stopped laughing, because every detail in the post matched their real-life situation perfectly. He slowly turned toward Ruyan. Time for a test. He casually asked her age. Nothing suspicious. Ruyan looked up, clearly nervous. After an awkward pause, she admitted the number. And our guy froze. 3 years younger? Exactly like the post. Now, fully suspicious, he dove into the account's comment history. The deeper he looked, the more ridiculous things became. The poster had just asked the internet whether the guy finally noticed she was younger, prettier, and more energetic than her sister. The comments section immediately responded with confusion. People pointed out that nobody had mentioned her sister at all. She was fighting ghosts. Others joked that she clearly wanted attention. And the internet smelled romance from miles away. One simple question from the guy had already sent her imagination racing. Ruyan tried to defend herself, but her explanation collapsed instantly. She stopped halfway through. Looks like someone got exposed. Then came the emotional damage. She declared that nobody understood her. Meanwhile, over on the sofa, Ruyan angrily tossed her phone aside. Her face remained expressionless, but her ears betrayed her. They were bright red. And just like that, the mystery was solved. Case closed. Our protagonist was only supposed to be a temporary boyfriend. One holiday dinner and 2 million would be his. That was the entire mission. He had already planned how to upgrade his gaming room. The money was practically spent in his imagination. But now this younger sister was trying to sabotage everything. That was unacceptable. No way. The duck was already in his mouth. He refused to let anyone ruin his payday. As for the comments claiming Ruyan liked him, he dismissed them completely. After all, they had only met today. Love at first sight? Impossible. So he jumped into the comments himself. Ironically, he forgot how hard he had been smiling earlier. The man was already enjoying the drama. Using his burner account, he started defending the girl. He insisted she clearly wasn't in love. Just a kind-hearted young woman. Definitely not down bad. He even wrote that the girl seemed far too kind to insult anyone out of personal bias, especially such a handsome and noble man. Our hero was laying it on thick, practically writing fan fiction about himself. He even blamed the commenters for misunderstanding the poor girl. The confidence was unreal. After posting 3 comments in a row, he finally received a reply from Lee Ruyan. He immediately assumed she'd been touched by his wisdom. Big mistake. The man happily opened the notification, and his smile froze instantly. The reply was basically one brutal sentence. "Shut up, you don't know anything." Emotional damage, direct hit. Before he could even respond, he was blocked. That counterattack was ruthless. Then Ruyan suddenly broke the silence. She slowly called him brother-in-law, stretching out the words. The tone carried a strange hint of sweetness. For a moment, even our protagonist felt his guard slipping. The girl was dangerously charming. But the next topic shocked him. He snapped back to reality. Ruyan suddenly asked whether he knew about Lu Shu's childhood friend, who is currently overseas. That caught him off guard. He actually knew about the guy, but Lu Shu had described him very differently. Not as a childhood sweetheart, but as her lifelong rival. Now things were getting suspicious, very suspicious. The relationship chart was becoming a nightmare. Seriously, someone needed to hand this man a family diagram. Seeing him stay silent, Ruyan misunderstood completely. She thought he was jealous. As a result, the frustration she'd been carrying all day started fading away. A critical misunderstanding had occurred. For once, the usually cold-faced girl actually smiled a little. Then she delivered the longest speech. He had heard from her all day. According to Ruyan, Liu Shu and Chen Ze had grown up together. She even claimed that Liu Shu once rushed to the airport while sick with a fever, just to see Chenzi off. Immediately, alarm bells rang, because Lu Xu's version was completely different. In her story, Chenzi was a villain. She claimed that while she was sick, the guy pretended to visit her, but his real objective was stealing her beloved dog. According to Lu Xu, if she hadn't caught him, her precious pet would have ended up overseas forever. Honestly, our protagonist half believed that story. The reason was simple. That dog was hideous, a nearly hairless creature with an orange-dyed tuft on its head. It apparently looked like a low-budget demon from a fantasy drama. Because of that, he couldn't imagine anyone plotting for years just to steal such a bizarre dog. Still, nobody knew the real truth. And since $2 million were at stake, he naturally chose to trust his employer. So he acted surprised on purpose, while keeping a gentle smile. Then he joked that her version sounded different. He even teased her a little, asking if she was trying to drive a wedge between them. That sentence hit harder than expected. For the first time in 19 years, Ruyan felt truly upset. Not because he doubted her, but because she suddenly felt sorry for him. In her mind, he was an innocent victim, being deceived by her own sister. And poor Chenzi wasn't looking great either. She wanted answers, but didn't want to scare him with her emotions. So she decided to confront her sister later in private. Meanwhile, she met his smiling gaze, waiting patiently for her answer. Her heart became even more chaotic. At the same time, she felt wronged. Why wouldn't he believe her? Then reality struck. He was supposed to be her sister's boyfriend. Of course, he'd trust Li Xu first, yet that uncomfortable feeling remained. Eventually, she lowered her eyes and quietly told him to believe whatever he wanted. Then, she immediately created a new online post. The title basically screamed, "What is wrong with my sister?" The internet detectives arrived at once. Many accused her of slandering her own sister, just to get closer to the brother-in-law. Others grabbed popcorn and enjoyed the chaos. Some people became curious about the mysterious man. Just how attractive was he? To make two sisters revolve around him? As for our protagonist, he honestly thought pretty highly of himself. Tall, decent looking, but still realistic enough to know that a wealthy heiress like Ruyan had probably seen countless handsome men. Love at first sight sounded ridiculous. So he convinced himself that she simply thought he wasn't a good match. Besides, she was probably tired of his deliberately love-struck act. She'd rather stare at her phone than talk to him. And honestly, that was exactly what he wanted. He finally relaxed. Sitting obediently on the couch, he waited for Lu Xu to finish work so they could leave together. But then, the real wild card appeared. Chenzi had returned. The man was tall and striking, yet dressed like he had escaped from a gothic rock concert. Dark makeup, silver accessories, and the aura of a vampire noble. The moment he entered, everyone's attention shifted to him. The room fell silent until those heavy boots stopped right in front of our protagonist. Chenzi sized him up from head to toe, looking every bit like a final boss. Then he bluntly asked if this was Liu Shu's new pretty boy. Caught off guard, our guy could only nod. Chen Zi stared for several seconds, as if evaluating the competition. In the end, he looked away with obvious disdain. Apparently, the rival inspection was complete. Before anyone could continue, a familiar little monster arrived. The legendary ugly dog heard Chen Zi's voice and came running. And then the impossible happened. The cold, arrogant Chen Zi vanished instantly. The moment he saw the dog, he transformed into a devoted pet parent. The man dropped to one knee, arms wide open like a reunion scene. He desperately called for his baby. The contrast was incredible, and it got even worse. Liu Yush rushed out of the study. The moment she saw Chen Zi with the dog, her CEO aura disappeared too. Within seconds, she was crouching beside him and calling the dog her baby. One offered affection. The other offered premium dog treats. The living room instantly became a battlefield. One side claimed to be mom. The other claimed to be godfather. Back and forth they went, while the dog sprinted around wildly, enjoying every second of the attention. Our protagonist was stunned. Then, Liu Ruyan quietly appeared behind him again, like a ghost. She casually asked whether he found the dog cute. He hesitated. After all, she was Liu Shu's sister. He couldn't be too honest. So he forced out a polite answer. Unique. Let's just call it unique. Inside his head, though, he was comparing it to an alien life form. Ruyan clearly wasn't satisfied. So she suddenly changed strategies. She revealed that she owned a ragdoll cat. And apparently, the cat could do backflips. That was an instant critical hit. A backflipping cat? Every man's weakness. Our hero immediately asked for video evidence. Ruyan lowered her eyes. Unfortunately, she hadn't recorded it. Then, she casually suggested exchanging contact information. She'd send the video later. Blinded by cat content, our protagonists agreed instantly. He completely missed the tiny smile that flashed across Ruyan's face. A few minutes later, her online account updated again. This time, she proudly announced that she'd gotten his contact info. Of course, she immediately tried to explain herself to the internet. According to her, she only wanted to convince him to break up with her sister. Nothing suspicious at all. She even insisted that brother-in-law could never become husband. The comment section immediately exploded. Nobody believed her. The internet saw through everything. People openly accused her of plotting to steal him away. Others laughed mercilessly, claiming she was probably celebrating behind the screen. Meanwhile, the blocked victim knew none of this. He was still watching the dog custody war. The longer he watched, the clearer it became. Ruyan had been right about one thing. These two weren't rivals. They were textbook childhood sweethearts pretending otherwise. And suddenly, the 2 million reward felt farther away. Much farther away. Finally, Chen Zi announced that he would visit the Liu family estate too. Then, Liu Yushu claimed a work emergency and postponed the trip until tomorrow. At that moment, every alarm bell rang. Too many variables had appeared in one night. What if the family elders preferred the perfect childhood sweetheart? What if Chen Zi was their favorite candidate? What if they humiliated him and pushed him out? There was only one solution. The contract needed hazard pay. Our hero immediately activated his professional negotiation mode. He dragged Lu Shu aside and started bargaining. With a tragic expression, he exaggerated his financial burdens and requested an extra 500,000. Liu Shi responded with the cold gaze of a CEO. She basically asked whether he thought she was an idiot. Negotiation failed. He tried preparing another argument, but she struck first. Lu Shu claimed that because of his distraction, Chen Zi had successfully stolen the dog. Now she'd have to spend the night without her precious baby. So instead of paying more, she fined him. First, 1,000. Then she upgraded it to 10,000. Absolutely ruthless. Moments later, she drove off to chase the dog thief, leaving our hero behind in despair. Then Ruyan appeared once more, materializing behind him like a ghost. She softly called him brother-in-law. This time, her voice sounded serious. Looking toward the departing car, she pointed out something obvious. The moment Chen Zhe returned, Lu Su followed him without hesitation. Then she turned back and asked the fatal question. Did he really want to continue this relationship? Of course he did. A signed contract was still a signed contract. But suddenly, another backup plan formed in his mind. His eyes drifted toward Ruyan, fair skin. At this point, our guy finally noticed something strange. For the first time, behind Lu Ruyan's cold and distant expression, there was a hint of expectation. And suddenly, all those forum comments came flooding back. Wait, don't tell me this girl actually likes him. Naturally, our professional actor decided to run an experiment. He lowered his head, pretending to be heartbroken. And through his fingers, he caught Ruyan visibly panicking. Her hand wanted to reach out, then stopped. The icy princess was completely thrown off balance. A critical hit landed successfully. Clearly, she had zero experience comforting men. One fake tear nearly broke her defenses. After fumbling for a while, she handed him a scented tissue, and our hero immediately seized the opportunity. He grabbed her sleeve, then doubled down on the performance. The emotional damage combo continued. Looking up at her, he delivered the ultimate bait. Would she stay and drink with him? Ruyan hesitated briefly, then agreed almost instantly. Mission progressing smoothly. She even brought out some low-alcohol fruit wine, trying to take care of him. But what she didn't know was, this guy was acting from start to finish. 2 glasses later, he switched into drunk protagonist mode. Meanwhile, Ruyan's face kept getting redder. She couldn't even meet his eyes. And then came the finishing move. Pretending she was Lu Shu, he casually dropped a nuclear bomb. He basically implied that if he'd met the younger sister first, he would have chosen her instead. Ladies and gentlemen, that was not flirting. That was artillery fire. Ruyan completely froze. She grabbed his wrist in disbelief. Her entire worldview just crashed. Unfortunately, our actor refused to elaborate. He immediately pretended to pass out. Classic hit-and-run strategy. Leaving Ruyan standing there in shock, her heart racing. After recovering a little, she tried carrying him to a guest room. But reality struck hard. A grown man isn't exactly lightweight equipment. After several failed attempts, she surrendered. Instead, she carefully covered him with a blanket, then sat quietly beside the sofa. Just staring at him? And that's when things became dangerous. Her gaze softened. Her fingers traced his outline in the air. Yet she didn't dare touch him. At least not intentionally. Then our sleeping genius conveniently rolled over. His lips brushed her fingertips. And boom! Critical damage. Ruyan practically short-circuited. She stared at that finger forever, like it had become a sacred relic. Then, blushing furiously, she lowered her head and gently pressed that fingertip to her lips. Ladies and gentlemen, she's gone. Completely gone. The younger sister had fallen hard. No saving her now. Meanwhile, our fake boyfriend remained clueless. Still dreaming about that 2 million reward? Several hours later, Lu Shi finally returned home, carrying the famous ugly dog. The problem? She had completely forgotten about her hired boyfriend. After greeting her sister, she immediately focused on feeding the dog. The boyfriend didn't even make the priority list. That instantly irritated Ruyan, so she casually reminded her sister about him. Only then did Liu Shu remember he existed, and even after hearing he was drunk, she showed zero concern. Ruyan's dissatisfaction rose even higher. She wanted to tell him the truth, that her sister didn't seem to care. But then she remembered the sofa incident, the finger, the confession, the accidental contact. And suddenly, her thoughts went somewhere else entirely. She deleted everything she had typed, then made a brand new post. And, ladies and gentlemen, the plot twists arrived. The title? How can I steal my brother-in-law away from my sister? Online urgent. The entire comment section exploded instantly. Everyone was losing their minds. Just hours ago, she was denying everything. Now, she had surrendered completely. Character development speedrun any %, naturally. The internet demanded an explanation. And Ruyan proudly revealed that the drunk man had praised her looks. The commenters immediately smelled trouble. Nobody bought it. Everyone accused her of falling for obvious bait. And honestly, they weren't exactly wrong. Still, the girl refused to back down. When asked about her advantages, she answered immediately, "Yum." Then she added another point. Unlike her sister's complicated history, she considered herself completely innocent and pure. The commenters instantly understood. This wasn't a debate anymore. The younger sister had officially joined the battlefield. And our poor protagonist still thought everything was about protecting his precious $2 million paycheck. Little did he know, with every comment piling up, Liu Ruyan became even more embarrassed. Her face turned red enough to rival a traffic light. She quickly stopped trying to defend herself. Then, a mysterious private message suddenly appeared. The sender offered 2 legendary strategies for winning over a man. Either use beauty and charm, or simply overwhelm him with money. Li Ruyan paused for a moment, then calmly typed her answer. And oh boy, she chose both. Back in the guest room, our protagonist nearly exploded from excitement. The guy was practically kicking inside his blankets. In his mind, this was undeniable proof that Lu Ruyan liked him, and if Lu Shi kept deducting his salary in the future, he planned to earn every cent back from the sisters. The man's ambitions were simple. Money first, consequences later. Unfortunately for him, he had absolutely no idea what was coming, because that innocent-looking Liu Ruyan would repeatedly destroy his expectations. Soon, they arrived at the Liu family estate. The moment he stepped out of the car, Grandma Liu grabbed his hand. The old lady immediately treated him like VIP family material. Apparently, he had already passed the first interview. Grandma kept praising him non-stop. Handsome. Reliable. A proper young man. Then came the unexpected combo attack. While praising him, she started roasting Chen Ze. Yesterday's rivals suddenly became today's punching bag. Liu Xiu frowned immediately. She clearly wasn't happy about it. Praising one person was fine, but dragging Chen Ze into it crossed a line. At the same time, Chen Ze finally stepped out of a Rolls-Royce behind them. This time, he wasn't wearing his usual flashy outfit. No visual overload today! Instead, he appeared in a stylish black suit, sharp and elegant. Though the earrings still screamed rock star energy, the guy looked like a celebrity attending a family gathering. He politely greeted the elders with perfect manners. But Grandma Liu wasn't impressed. Not even slightly. She barely acknowledged him before dragging the protagonist away. And just like that, the atmosphere became painfully awkward. Our protagonist looked back instinctively and saw something shocking. The arrogant Chen Ze from yesterday looked completely lost, like a kid who had just been scolded. Seeing this, Liu Xiu stepped in. She handed over their beloved dog as emotional support. Even the puppy sensed his mood. It immediately comforted him. Only then did the protagonists realize the truth. Chen Ze wasn't favored by the Liu family at all. Talk about a plot twist. The person being sidelined wasn't him. It was Chen Ze. Meanwhile, he somehow became the golden comparison target. Even adjusting his collar earned praise from Grandma. The guy felt more uncomfortable by the second. Because, honestly, Chen Ze didn't deserve this treatment. The most painful part wasn't the praise. It was seeing Chen Ze lower his head further and further. That hit unexpectedly hard, seriously. How could Grandma only see his unusual fashion sense? The man was tall, talented, and educated. He loved animals, too. A complete package, honestly. Thankfully, Grandma was the only one holding that opinion. The rest of the family quickly stepped in. They praised Chen Ze's artistic talent, and Liu Xiu openly defended him without hesitation. She practically called Grandma outdated, savage, but effective. Then she got tired of arguing, so she tossed the dog's toy into the yard. The puppy immediately sprinted away, and Liu Xiu seized the perfect excuse. She dragged Chen Ze along. The two disappeared together in seconds, leaving our official boyfriend standing there alone. Ouch. No wonder people kept saying they were childhood sweethearts. The protection level was unreal. Grandma, meanwhile, was furious. She started complaining about the dog again. Clearly, this battle had been ongoing for years. The family conflict had entered veteran rank. Nobody was backing down. Grandma was practically shaking with frustration, calling everyone little troublemakers. At that moment, the protagonist wondered whether he should calm her down. But before he could, Liu Ruyan suddenly stepped forward. She casually pointed out an obvious escape route. Why not follow the dog? The protagonist froze. He didn't catch on immediately, but Liu Ruyan had already understood, without changing her expression. She stood up and prepared to leave herself. Only then did our hero realize she was helping him escape. He immediately followed after her. Smooth rescue operation completed. Grandma still wanted to chat, but the parents stepped in again, giving the youngsters freedom to explore. And just like that, the pair escaped the battlefield. The Liu estate sat halfway up a beautiful mountain. The scenery was gorgeous, but there was one problem. Liu Shu and Chen Zhe had already vanished. So the protagonist ended up walking beside Liu Ruyan instead. She kept studying his face carefully, as if searching for hidden emotions. Then she asked the critical question. Was he really not jealous at all? Of course, he had his own thoughts. But he couldn't reveal the truth, so he gave a safe answer instead, trying to stay neutral. Li Ruyan fell silent, yet disappointment flashed across her eyes. A few steps later, she stopped. Then, suddenly changed the subject. She brought up the drunken confession from last night. And here came the dangerous part. The protagonist had prepared a backup plan long ago. If the family hated him, he would play the victim card for sympathy. But the family actually liked him, completely ruining his strategy. So he hesitated for 1 second. Just 1 second. But that tiny hesitation was fatal. The sharp-eyed Li Ruyan caught it instantly, and she immediately realized the truth. Our hero's secret was about to be exposed, and the pressure meter just shot through the roof. Li Ruyan stared straight into his soul, like she could read every hidden thought. Our guy immediately tried the classic damage control strategy, brushing everything off as drunken nonsense. Unfortunately, that answer hit Li Ruyan harder than expected. For the first time, her composure cracked. The grievance in her eyes became impossible to ignore. The poor girl looked genuinely heartbroken. Only then did the protagonist suddenly remember something important. She was still only 19. An age where feelings hit like a truck, and every emotional dead end becomes a life-or-death crisis. Unable to hold back any longer, Liu Ruyan finally exposed the truth. In her eyes, her sister clearly wasn't treating him right. The accusation carried real emotion. Even our protagonist started feeling guilty. But then the situation took a sharp turn. Instead of crying quietly, she looked ready to march over and start a war. Our hero panicked and stopped her immediately. "No combat today, please!" Sadly, his reaction only made things worse. Li Ruyan became even more emotional. She couldn't understand his choice. After all, from her perspective, what exactly made her sister better? Whatever Liu Shu could offer, she could too. And that statement instantly pushed the story into dangerous territory. Desperate to stabilize the situation, the protagonist made a legendary decision, one that probably disappointed several generations of ancestors. He carefully tested the waters and offered an outrageous compromise. The girl froze. Her brain clearly needed a system reboot. Anything to escape the embarrassment. He even pretended the suggestion never happened. Too late. Because suddenly, his wrist was grabbed from behind. Li Ruyan lowered her head. Her voice was barely audible. Yet her answer couldn't have been clearer. She accepted without hesitation. Then gathered every ounce of courage she had and stepped closer. Much closer. She leaned against him shyly, repeating her answer once more. And just like that, the protagonist's brain stopped functioning. He completely forgot to react. The girl was soft, warm, and adorable, even carrying a faint fragrance. Our hero was rapidly losing the battle against temptation. Then suddenly, Li Ruyan snapped back to reality and pushed him away. Her face turned crimson. Panic level. Maximum. She desperately searched for an excuse. Anything to explain what had just happened. Then she fled the scene, leaving the protagonist standing there completely stunned. The guy couldn't help laughing. Apparently, the fearless little sister had a shy side too. And for some reason, his own heart felt different now. Time quietly passed. until a dog barked nearby. That finally pulled him back to reality. Looking around, he discovered a small playground, probably built years ago for the Liu sisters. And sitting there were Lu Shu and Chen Ze, completely unaware they were being observed. Even more shocking, Chen Ze was crying, while Lu Shu comforted him like an overprotective CEO. Naturally, our protagonist activated gossip mode. He dragged Liu Ruyan along, and the two sneaked closer. Soon, they heard the whole story. Chen Ze sounded genuinely frustrated. He had even changed his appearance for Grandma. Yet, nothing had changed. The rejection still hurt. Lu Shu immediately reassured him. Then came the critical question, the one viewers have been waiting for. Meanwhile, our fake boyfriend completely forgot his own identity. At this point, he was just an excited spectator. Liu Ruyan looked utterly confused. How could this man be enjoying the drama so much? Shouldn't he be jealous? Over by the playground, Chen Ze finally asked if Lu Shu liked him. The tension instantly exploded. But before getting an answer, the guy lost his nerve. He tried retreating immediately. Classic panic response. Too little. Too late. Because Lu Shu wasn't letting him escape. Apparently, boldness ran in the family. Both sisters preferred taking initiative. Lu Shu grabbed his wrist immediately, then shouted her answer. A direct critical hit. Even the nearby dog got startled. Collateral damage. Chen Ze nearly short-circuited on the spot. His entire face turned red. The poor guy couldn't handle the attack. He immediately worried about witnesses. Then reality hit him again. Wasn't she already dating someone? And here came the biggest reveal yet. One sentence instantly stunned two people. Liu Yuzhu finally confessed the truth. The boyfriend was fake. A temporary hire to deal with family pressure. But now she had figured out her real feelings. No more running away. She chose Chen Ze. Even then, he still hesitated. His biggest obstacle remained Grandma. Years of criticism had left scars. Watching a stylish king get suppressed like this was simply painful, and our protagonist finally snapped. He jumped out with a solution. The sudden interruption scared everyone. Liu Shu turned around, then immediately noticed something else. The hand-holding. Her expression froze on the spot. Before she could react, Liu Ruyan stepped forward protectively and claimed full responsibility. That move completely caught everyone off guard. Liu Shu looked between them repeatedly, then surprisingly chose not to interfere. Instead, she asked about the plan. Our protagonist smiled confidently. The man's brain had already produced another outrageous strategy. His suggestion was simple. Use an even bigger shock to defeat Grandma's prejudice. After thinking for 2 seconds, Lu Shu looked over with a serious expression. Then she asked the most important question. Did our protagonist know the perfect candidate? The man had been waiting for this moment. He immediately recommended an old college friend. A true professional actress. Exactly what this ridiculous plan needed. To sell the story harder, he even showed proof. Her social media was packed with photos alongside beautiful women. Liu Shu clearly didn't understand any of this, but she trusted him anyway. Without hesitation, she ordered her people to bring the actress over. The operation officially began. Our hero happily accepted the mission. Luckily, the actress lived in the same city. Less than 2 hours later, she arrived. Grandma Lu assumed she was a guest, maybe a relative or friend. Big mistake. The moment she entered the house. Boom. She wrapped herself around Liu Shu's arm, practically hanging off her shoulder, then unleashed a full acting masterclass performance. Sweet voice, perfect timing, maximum damage. Within seconds, she introduced herself as Liu Shu's beloved partner. Grandma Liu froze completely. The teacup almost slipped from her hand. Then she slowly turned toward our protagonist, trying to figure out what was happening. Li Ruyan almost stepped forward, but our hero reacted first. He immediately downgraded himself to driver and bodyguard status, claiming the boyfriend role had always been fake. Liu Ruyan instantly looked upset. But there was no time to comfort her, because Grandma Liu was about to explode. The walking stick came out immediately. Meanwhile, the actress kept adding fuel to the fire. Every line she delivered increased the chaos. This woman deserved an award. Grandma's blood pressure certainly agreed. The old lady nearly reached her limit. The house descended into complete madness. Eventually, Liu Shu ended up kneeling outside, yet she remained stubborn. For the first time, she openly confronted Grandma, refusing to back down. Grandma was absolutely furious. Traditional values versus modern romance had officially entered combat mode. Neither side wanted to surrender. Liu Shi calmly fired back with pure logic. Or at least her version of logic. Grandma nearly fainted from the answer. The emotional damage was critical. Then suddenly, Grandma noticed Chen Zhe standing nearby. And another suspicion immediately surfaced. Why was Liu Shu always so close to him? Everyone's hearts skipped a beat. Because Liu Yushu looked at Chen Zhe with obvious affection. Thankfully, Grandma couldn't see it. At least, not yet. Unfortunately, Liu Shu decided to help expose herself. Without thinking, she muttered something dangerous. Something very dangerous. Seeing disaster approaching, our protagonist jumped in immediately. Emergency rescue activated. He quickly rebranded Chen Zhe as basically one of the girls. Considering Chen Zhe's previous fashion choices, the explanation somehow made sense. And unbelievably, Grandma actually bought it. She closed her eyes and began thinking deeply. The entire courtyard fell silent. Even the parents looked exhausted. Nobody knew how this would end. The actress, meanwhile, kept pushing boundaries. She was fully committed to the role. At this point, she was farming bonus points. Finally, Grandma opened her eyes, looking exhausted. Then she revealed the truth. She wasn't fooled at all. Not even a little. She had already figured out the entire scheme. Then she glanced at Chen Zhe and dropped a massive plot twist. She finally surrendered. If the alternative was that fake girlfriend story. Then Chen Zhe suddenly looked amazing. The actress instantly switched into victory mode. Still refusing to break character, her professionalism was terrifying. Grandma was done listening. She ordered the actress removed immediately. Mission accomplished. The actress left while dramatically fake crying. An Oscar-worthy exit. Soon she was escorted away. But a few minutes later, our protagonist received a voice message. The woman was screaming with excitement. Because Liu Shu had paid her 200,000. Instant jackpot. Her voice literally changed from excitement. Meanwhile, our hero remembered his own salary, which was supposed to be 2 million. Except Liu Shu had still deducted 10,000. A true capitalist never forgets. After spending one night at the estate, Liu Shi, Chen Zhe, and the dog looked exactly like a happy family of 3. With money secured, our protagonist booked a flight home. His plan was simple. Run. As for Lu Ruyan, he convinced himself that her feelings were only temporary. A youthful impulse. Nothing more than admiration. Surely it would fade with time. Then reality punched him in the face. Because Li Ruyan climbed into the taxi after him and immediately confronted him. The girl was on the verge of tears. She couldn't believe he was leaving. Our protagonist had no defense whatsoever. One look at her expression was enough. Defeat. He canceled the ticket, told the driver to turn around, and headed elsewhere. Back to his tiny rented room. A cramped little apartment. Nothing fancy. When Li Ruyan entered, the contrast became obvious. She looked completely out of place there. So he finally told the truth. His life was nowhere near theirs. They belonged to different worlds. Lu Ruyan sat quietly on the hard bed. Outside, rain tapped softly against the window, and the sadness in her eyes hit harder than expected. Just then, she suddenly called out to him. For the first time, Lu Ruyan calls the protagonist by his full name. The playful atmosphere instantly disappears, and things get serious. She looked straight at him, demanding an honest answer. The girl wants to know if he's been lumping her together with those spoiled rich kids who treat love like a game. And honestly, from the protagonist's perspective, the suspicion isn't exactly unreasonable. After all, the situation looks ridiculously suspicious. A wealthy young lady falling for a fake brother-in-law she met only days ago? Sounds like a red flag factory. Even he struggles to believe it. Still, the irony is that he himself had been flirting and dropping emotional bait the whole time. Realizing that, our guy suddenly loses a lot of confidence. So he desperately tries to steer the conversation somewhere safer. His proposal is simple. Share one final meal and peacefully part ways. Li Ruyan quietly studies him without saying a word. That stare alone is enough to make anyone nervous. Just when he expects a dramatic rejection, she suddenly returns to her cool and composed persona and surprisingly agrees. But of course, there's a condition attached. The meal has to happen right here in his tiny apartment. With no escape route left, the protagonist orders takeout. Then he unfolds the little table beside the bed. Unfortunately for him, the room is so cramped that their legs constantly brush against each other. And immediately, his brain replays that unfinished bamboo forest hug. Bro is fighting for his life at this point. Trying to save himself, he urges her to leave after dinner. Li Ruyan casually points toward the window. Rain is pouring outside. He quickly suggests calling the family driver. Plot twist, she already fired him. The protagonist immediately offers another solution, but she counters every option with perfect confidence. This girl came prepared. By now, the excuses are getting hilariously transparent. The protagonist finally understands the truth. She doesn't want to leave. She is completely locked onto her target. He tries one last desperate attempt to chase her away. Then, fate intervenes. One careless movement sends a drink flying. Orange juice everywhere. And Lu Ruyan's clothes are completely soaked. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation escalates instantly. In theory, it's just a simple wardrobe change. In practice, this is a romance manhwa. The white clothes leave very little to the imagination. Our protagonist suddenly regrets having functional eyesight. He quickly lends her one of his oversized t-shirts. Then comes another critical hit. The bathroom door somehow isn't fully closed. And through the gap, he catches a glimpse he absolutely wasn't prepared for. When she finally walks out, the oversized shirt hides most of her outfit, leaving only a pair of long, flawless legs on full display. She casually moves around the room. Meanwhile, the protagonist's concentration evaporates. To make matters worse, she even helps collect his laundry. Every time he tells her to leave, she simply points at the worsening weather. Checkmate. Then comes the biggest plot twist. Half a month passes, and she's still casually helping around the apartment like she owns the place. Not even looking back. This time, she's wearing a silk nightdress, practically glowing under the sunlight. She lazily brushes off his latest attempt to send her away, promising she'll leave after finishing one last chore. Sure, totally believable. Then she turns around, and one shoulder strap slips down. The innocent look she gives him is absolutely lethal. At this point, this clingy little fox has completely won the war. The protagonist finally surrenders. After all, he's eyeing a luxury apartment in the city center. And his $2 million salary isn't enough for the down payment. So after getting conquered by persistence, beauty, and pure financial reality, our hero officially decides that having a rich girlfriend might not be such a bad deal after all. The beauty capture arc is complete, and honestly, she carried this entire battle by herself.